coming up on Retiring Well with Michael REESE.
Because at the end of the day, our job as fiduciaries and retirement planners is to help you understand, hey, you have a certain set of goals. This is what you want to accomplish. And over here you have a certain set of resources. This is what you have to work with to accomplish these goals. If you want the highest probability of success in having your resources make those goals happen, this is what you want, and this is what you got to work with. If you want the highest probability that that's all going to work out,
make sure that you're positioned in a way where you may have some exposure to losses, but ones that you're comfortable with, ones that you can recover from.
Retiring Well with Michael REESE, helping you make smart decisions with your money so you can live a better life. Today is the day you can take back control of your money. Retiring Well with Michael REESE, where we believe your best is yet to come.
Welcome to Retiring Well. I'm your host, Michael REESE. I am excited about this week's show. We are talking about the big disconnect between you and the financial planning industry, particularly when you're talking about risk. Right? So when you talk about risk, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but let's imagine, to really help you better understand what's going on, let's imagine that you could be a fly on the wall in a financial advisory office. I know, it's very exciting, right? And you could be a fly on the wall, and you get to sit there and watch 10 people, 10 families come in for the first time to that advisor's office. So here you are on the wall, you're watching what's happening, right? And then what does every financial advisor do at the beginning? When they meet a new family, it seems like they're always trying to identify what is your risk tolerance. How, are you a conservative investor? Are you moderate? Are you aggressive? What are you? And let's, for the sake of today's discussion, say that as you're that fly on the wall, every one of the 10 families that come in, they all say the same thing. We're moderate. That's what we are. We're moderate. We are moderate investors. We're middle of the road. We're not real aggressive, but we're not super conservative either. We're kind of middle of the road. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being aggressive and 1 being conservative, we're like maybe a 4, 5, or a 6, something like that. Okay, that's exciting. All 10 are moderate. Now, what's going on each side of the table there? So this may come as a surprise to you, but the minute a financial advisor hears that you're moderate, here's what they're thinking. Because this is what the financial industry thinks. The financial industry believes that if you are a middle-of-the-road, moderate investor, then you, in a down market, are completely comfortable losing about a third of your money, 30, 35%. If the market's a bad market like 08 or the early 2000s, they're saying, you know what, losing 30, 35%, that's right in your wheelhouse. You're absolutely fine with that. That's what the financial industry believes. But you're that fly on the wall. Right? You're up there on the wall, and you're seeing all 10 of these families come in. They're all saying they're moderate. What do you think? Do you think that all 10 of those families would define moderate as happily losing 30, 35% when the market's down? Do you think they're all good with that? You see, I found that just asking someone if they're conservative, moderate, or aggressive, that's not communication. Because what if you were moderate? Your definition of moderate may not be the same as mine. It may not, and mine may not be the same as the financial industries. And I promise you this, if 10 people come in the door and they're all moderate, 10 families, all moderate, they don't have the same definition. I can promise you that. Everybody has their own idea of what moderate means. So I always like to ask a follow-up question. I say, oh, wait a minute here, wait a minute. You said you're moderate. Okay, well, what does that really mean to you? What is moderate? let me make sure I understand you. When you say moderate, you're a 4 or 5 or 6, what does that really mean to you? And guess what? I'm going to get 10 different definitions, aren't I? That's what I'm going to get, 10 different definitions. I'm going to get one person says, well, I'm moderate because I like to be in the stock market, but I don't want to lose more than 10%. If it's down, I want to be out. And another person might say, yeah, I'm kind of moderate investor. That means I'm willing to lose half my money in a single year, because they think aggressive means to lose it all. I mean, everybody has their own definition. And this is where the big disconnect comes in. Because, you have your definition, the advisor has their definition, and then the industry has their definition. Everybody has different definitions. And unless that advisor is really digging deeper and asking you, wait a minute, what do you really mean by that? Well, unless they're doing that, you'll often find that the difference in definitions get you in trouble when markets go south. Make sure that you guys are clear in understanding there.
Hi, my name is Larry Flynn, and I'm one of the advisors here with Centennial Wealth. Listen, if you're soon to be retired, 5-10 years out, or in retirement, there are some critical concepts that you need to understand in making your retirement vision a reality. Don't be complacent about this. There's so many things that you need to understand, and we're putting a presentation on all across northern Michigan at venues such as this so that we can get in front of you and share some of these things with you, give you some valuable information in hopes that maybe you want to hear a little bit more or go into detail. These are not high-pressured events. We just want to get in front of you, give you some good information, and if there's a chance you might want to meet with us, great. But if not, then at least you've walked away with some valuable information and a gourmet dinner at that. So listen, want to personally invite you to this, appreciate you coming. Please answer the call on the screen. Thanks.
Here at Centennial Wealth, when we talk about your best is yet to come, what we're really referring to is that retirement is different today.
Retirement represents a fundamental change. Yet most people don't match that with the fundamental change in their investments. Too often we see couples and individuals sticking with the same strategy that got them to retirement and not adjusting to a plan that will get them through retirement.
People who retire today are living 20, 30 years. And when you have that kind of time frame, you have the time to pursue the things that are meaningful to you, that are fulfilling to you.
In looking at your retirement income, you're no longer drawing a paycheck from the company you work for. Instead, you have to be the provider of that income. You don't want to leave this to chance, so we help clients evaluate all of their options to help provide the best solution based on their needs.
Most people in their working years put money into IRAs and 401ks because they wanted to push the tax off to their retirement years when they expected they would be in a lower tax bracket. Far too often, though, they find themselves in the same lifestyle, in the same bracket, and all they did is kick the can down the road.
Well, I'm happy to share with you, we have helped guide hundreds of families past that point into a future that is absolutely bright.
Although it's not fun to discuss, it's vital that we evaluate your life insurance and long-term care planning. The insurance world changes regularly, and you need to know that we're keeping you abreast of today's ever-changing environment.
The three biggest threats to our retirement savings is what we call the hit list. There's healthcare, inflation, and taxes. People can't afford to run out of money, so they have to plan for these things.
If you make smart choices about your money, then you have nothing to worry about.
No retirement plan is complete or properly constructed unless you have an estate plan in place.
We'll regularly bring in an estate planning attorney to speak with our clients to ensure that their estate planning is structured properly.
Today we see people with Social Security, no pension, and everything else in their retirement savings. The challenge is to turn that savings into retirement income that can last their lifetime, not subject to market fluctuations.
We want you to be confident. We know you can be confident. We've done it before. We can do it for you. This week in Chalk Talk, we are going to talk a little bit about risk, and I have a great acronym for you, and that is how much risk can, C-A-N, how much risk can you take? All right, so this is going to be fun. So what does the first C stand for? This stands for capacity. Now, remember when you first met your financial advisor or you first opened up an account on maybe Vanguard or Fidelity or something like that? What's one of the first things they want you to do? Well, they want you to fill out some kind of a, and I'll just put it up here, some kind of a risk profile questionnaire. Right? That's what they're trying to do. And they're trying to find out, well, what are you? Are you conservative? Are you moderate? Are you aggressive? You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is ultra conservative, 10 is ultra aggressive. Where are you? And they try to identify where you are. Now, why do they do that? Okay, there he is. I'm going to put this in this is a risk profile questionnaire is all about the old CYA. Cover your, a word I can't say on TV, but I think you know what I mean. Why do these institutions do a risk profile questionnaire? I'll tell you why. If you are a financial institution, like a big management firm, you make money, you make the most money when clients take risk. The more risk the clients take, the more money you make. So it is as the financial institution, it's in your best interest to get that client to take as much risk as possible. Okay, you with me? But if they take on too much risk and the market goes bad, the client loses a bunch of money, so what do? They're unhappy and they sue you. Well, as long as you've had them fill out a risk profile questionnaire, you have CYA'd. You've covered your behind. They can sue all they want, they're going to lose. And you, by the way, you, the investor, you're going to lose because you did a risk profile questionnaire and you told that firm, oh yeah, I'm willing to take this much risk, right? That's essentially what's going on. But here's the issue. The financial industry uses a risk profile questionnaire to identify your capacity. And so essentially what they're doing is this. When you talk to your financial advisor, you fill out this form. It says you can take this much risk. And okay, based on that much risk, here is a beautifully colored pie, right, of all these different colored slices. And this is how you should set up your portfolio. And as far as the financial industry is concerned, that is where the discussion on risk begins and ends. They are done. Their role is done. Their job is done. They're done talking about this stuff. Let's get that money invested in the beautiful pie chart, right? Now, as a fiduciary, which we are true fiduciaries, as a fiduciary for us, this is not where the discussion ends. This is where it begins. Because, yeah, that risk profile questionnaire, which we all have to ask some form of, that's going to tell us some information, but here's the deal. Just because your profile says you're moderate, hey, to the financial industry, that means one thing, but you might have a different idea of what that means. And so the A stands for attitude. What is your attitude about risk? What if you fill out a risk profile questionnaire? It says you're moderate, and they say, you can lose 35% of down market, no problem. And you're okay with that because you're moderate. But you sit there and you say, well, wait a minute. If I lose more than 15%, I'm going to be bugging out. I can't handle that. Which number is more important, this number or this number? The number the industry says you should think and the number you think you should think. Well, obviously, this number's the most important of the two. But again, as fiduciaries, it goes a lot deeper than that. And the N stands for need. And at the end of the day, this is all that matters. Because at the end of the day, our job as fiduciaries and retirement planners is to help you understand, hey, you have a certain set of goals. This is what you want to accomplish. And over here you have a certain set of resources. This is what you have to work with to accomplish these goals. Our job is to tell you, look, this is the amount of risk that you need to take so that these resources have the best chance of accomplishing those goals. And the good news is, normally, you need to take less risk than you think, not more. Again, This is why you should be talking to us. Come on in, it's free, no obligation, just call the number on the phone. Let's find out where you're at. Let's find out where you need to be so that you can accomplish your goals for your retirement.
Centennial Wealth Advisory, your independent retirement planning specialists, now in 3 convenient locations in northern Michigan. 818 Red Drive in Traverse City, 3890 Charlevoix Avenue in Petoskey, and 3687 Old 27th South in Gaylord. Contact us at 888-608-5825 or visit send-wealth.com to schedule your no-obligation complete retirement review at any of our northern Michigan locations, Traverse City, Petoskey, or Gaylord. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come. Your grandchildren are precious to you. They are your life. This is your time to have that special relationship. Taking care of yourself is taking care of them. Centennial Wealth Advisory is offering a free, no-obligation retirement review to make sure you don't run out of money during your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
Welcome back. We are talking about risk and the big disconnect and all that stuff this week, but in this segment I want to dig a little deeper here. And I'm going to ask you the question, who's the doctor in the room? Right? Who's the doctor in the room? Now, what do I mean by that? Let's imagine that you go to your doctor because you've got a problem. We'll pick a big problem. What if you have cancer? Right? And boy, I sure hope that never happens to you. But let's imagine you get cancer of some type. And you go to the doctor, and the doctor says, all right, you've got skin cancer. Here's what you need to do. A, B, C, and D. You need to take these steps, and that gives you the best probability that this is going to be fixed. Right? That's what the doctor basically does. They don't. Now imagine something different though. Imagine the discussion goes more like this. What if you go to the doctor, you find out you got cancer, and the doctor sits there and says, okay, well, how do you want to be treated? Yeah. I don't know. What do you mean, how do I want to be treated? I got cancer. You're the doctor. You're supposed to tell me what to do. But the doctor says, yeah, but I could do this, I could do that, but tell me, how do you really want to be treated? In other words, the doctor's like, here, you tell me how I should treat you. I'll tell you what, if I've got something important going on like cancer, I don't know about you, right? But if I've got cancer going on, I don't want no doctor just asking me my opinion about stuff. I want to have a doctor who knows how to fix it and says, look, bud, you got a problem. You need to do A, B, C, and D. We know that's what you need to do to give you the best chance of kicking cancer's butt. Right, of getting over this, of coming out the other side in good condition. That's what I want. I hope you'd want the same. Well, let's turn the tables a little bit here. What about your financial advisor? What about your financial advisor? You ever go into a financial advisor's office and you know how they ask you a risk profile questionnaire? What are they asking? They're saying, well, what is your risk tolerance? They're trying to identify what's your risk tolerance. How much risk are you willing to take with your money? You know what that is? That's like our example of the doctor asking me when I had cancer. I've never had cancer, but imagine I did. It's like the doctor saying, hey, Mike, how do you want to be treated? That's not what it's about. That's not what it's about. Because what should the financial advisor be doing? Because you know what we're talking about here? Folks, we are talking about your retirement security. We're talking about your money lasting for your lifetime. We're talking about these are your goals. Now, how do we make sure that we use your resources, financial resources, to make those goals happen? Right? That's what we're talking about here. This is not fun stuff necessarily. This is important stuff. This is all the money you've got for the rest of your life. This is important. And your financial advisor should not be sitting there saying, okay, hey, how do you want me to deal with this? No, no. Our job is to tell you, look, these are your goals. These are your resources. Now, if you want the highest chance of success, remember just like when I had our cancer example, I wanted the highest probability that I was going to come out the other side in good form. If you want the highest probability of success in having your resources make those goals happen, this is what you want, and this is what you got to work with. If you want the highest probability that that's all going to work out, well, guess what? From my side of the table, I know how to make that happen. I know how to get you from A to B. And asking you about your risk tolerance is irrelevant. It doesn't matter what your risk tolerance is, because you may need to take on more risk to make those goals happen. You might need to take on less risk. And by the way, it's about 95% of the time when we talk to people, they need to take on less risk. In other words, people are out there taking all this risk, and the bottom line is they don't have enough money to take on that risk. They need to tighten their ship up a bit to make sure that their goals happen. But here's my question. Does your financial advisor give you that kind of conviction? Do they know how to take care of your problems? Or are they asking your opinion on things? If you want one that knows, you might want to give us a call. Come visit with us. Let's make sure your retirement has the highest probability of everything working out.
Hi, my name is Larry Flynn, and I'm one of the advisors here with Centennial Wealth. Listen, if you're soon to be retired, 5-10 years out, or in retirement, there are some critical concepts that you need to understand in making your retirement vision a reality. Don't be complacent about this. There's so many things that you need to understand, and we're putting a presentation on all across northern Michigan at venues such as this so that we can get in front of you and share some of these things with you, give you some valuable information in hopes that maybe you want to hear a little bit more or go into detail. These are not high-pressured events. We just want to get in front of you, give you some good information, and if there's a chance you might want to meet with us, great. But if not, then at least you've walked away with some valuable information and a gourmet dinner at that. So listen, want to personally invite you to this. Appreciate you coming. Please answer the call on the screen. Thanks.
Welcome back to Retiring Well. I'm Art Canfield, and here today with John Torbett, and hope you've enjoyed the show so far. And we've been spending a lot of time talking about risk and reward and how much risk can you take on. And we're going to spend a little bit of time here talking about how much risk can you take on.
Yeah, and that, Art, makes me think of, like, as far as people's attitude towards risk and how we're really seeing as markets are moving, especially as we're in the midst of this second longest bull run in history, as some people's attitudes may be changing over time. I'm thinking of a couple I recently met with where, you know, they'd been a little more conservatively postured, and they're sort of seeing this market growth, and they wanted a little bit of a piece of that, and so they're looking at maybe taking on a little bit more risk, and that's where you just really need to be careful, though, right? I mean, because it makes me think of it then, like, from the need factor, did they really need to be taking on that additional risk?
Right. So what you're saying is that your risk isn't just something you probably pick at one point in your life and it's forevermore. People can, it may be a point in time,
yeah,
you know, or something, different points that may change that.
Oh yeah, it's constantly going to be moving, especially, I mean, as life changes. I mean, you're looking at, you're going from different phases even throughout your retirement years, where, you know, the early years you may be spending a lot more of your retirement savings, and then as time progresses, you may catch yourself seeing that savings account build up a little bit more. And so then it comes back to sort of what the purpose of that money really would be.
Sure. One thing that always amazes me when it comes to risk, and we talk a lot about that with people because, what are you willing to lose? And nobody wants to lose anything, right? But most people understand you're going to have some loss. But how people may say a certain number, let's just say that's a max 10%, let's say, but how they have no idea how their portfolio matches up to that. And it just always blows my mind to know, hey, I want to lose only 10%, and then we start looking at their portfolio and it's way more aggressive than what they think.
Oh, and that seems to be commonplace for us when we're sitting down with folks, is it seems that they want to be conservatively postured. They don't want to take on a great amount of risk, but when we look at their 401k statements or their IRAs, and really we're able to dive behind there using this Morningstar analysis and really see what risk they're taking on within that portfolio, and a lot of times it is a lot greater risk than they're really comfortable with.
Yeah, it's funny. It seems like we never see anybody that has too little risk in their portfolio. It's always the other way around, it seems like. And that's where people, I think, really get blindsided when something negative happens, right? I mean, that's the stories that we hear all the time about, I was getting ready to retire and then I had this big loss or something like that, right?
Yeah, and in retirement, that's the last time you want to be dealing with trying to recover from a major market loss. And so you want to make sure that you're positioned in a way where you may have some exposure to losses, but ones that you're comfortable with, ones that you can recover from, that you still have sufficient savings set aside to continue that income stream that you need to live on, because that's ultimately what's most important.
Right. I want to go back to something that you had said earlier. We kind of talked about how much risk can you take on.
Yeah.
So the C in can is capacity, A is attitude, N is need. Let's talk about need for a second, because in retirement planning, a lot of it is, the old days it was pension, Social Security was made take care of everything, right? Sure. Well, now we have this portfolio and people need to take income because that's their lifestyle, right? So we'll talk a little bit about need and what you see with people and how that can affect things.
Well, yeah, it really does come down to income. I mean, that's the question that we get all the time is, do I have enough saved for retirement? And everybody thinks it's some magic number, but really it comes back to your lifestyle. And as long as you know what income needs you have, that's where it's a matter of determining what part of the portfolio you're going to use to generate that income and making sure it's structured properly to match up with that.
Right. It seems to make complete sense, right? If you know what you need, it can help really plan for everything else, and as opposed to just, instead of just dumping investments in and hoping it works out, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, folks, if this sounds anything like you, if you haven't had this risk conversation lately with your advisors, now is a really good time to be doing this. You should be revisiting this consistently and constantly to make sure that your investments align with what your tolerance is, what your attitudes are, what your needs are. You need to know those things. We'd love to sit down and talk with you. Call the number on the screen. And thank you so much for tuning in and watching us this week.